Okay, welcome
Cool.
everyone to the Helm Dev Call. Today is Thursday, January 31st. We are going to just go through our normal stand-up routine, which is first any announcements, and then we'll have stand-up from all the core maintainers, and then anyone in the community who has something they're working on that they feel like they need to give a stand-up on, and then any demos or discussions that we need to have. So, hey, we're still getting up the notes. Are there any announcements today? I'm guessing by the silence, that's a no. Yep, no announcements that I see here. So let's go ahead and move on to stand-ups. I'll start first. I've been working on just a few PRs and issues as much as I can. One of them was the atomic flag that was added so that you can automatically roll back. So if you are installing and it fails, it'll purge the release. And then if you are upgrading and it fails, it will roll back automatically. That's all behind a flag now. So I can't remember the person's name who submitted it, but thanks to them for adding that feature in. And we got that merged. So I worked on that, and I'll just be working some more on various issue things and PRs as needed. So if anyone needs any help, just ping me and let me know. And I'll pass it off to Nun.
Hey, I don't have that much to say really today. Apart from I have been talking a little bit with Reinhard and Scott about the charts releaser idea that we had, and I think we actually have a repo now. So we kind of took Paul's chart releaser tool. We've moved it to the Helm org now. Share that in here. And then the idea is to look into, well, the next step here would be to look into turning this into kind of a service sort of thing. Reinhard actually made changes to this tool to make it work on a repository with multiple charts in it. Right before, it was only working on a repository with a single chart in it, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's all I have. Who should go next? Let's see, Martin.
Yeah, so I've been looking at V3 work all this week, on and off. So I'm working on feature 5085, and I have a PR in for that. Probably core of the code is there, and I'm just getting ready to put in probably about maybe 70% of test unit cases, so test cases. So I'll probably push them in this afternoon, and then work on the rest of them. So yeah, that's progressing on nicely. So if anyone wants to have a kind of a look at that, just and want to give me feedback on it, that'd be great. Thanks. I don't know who's next. Sorry.
I can take it next.
Okay, Matt.
I've been working with Josh and others on just the OCI work. As far as it goes, we got guidance on how to store artifacts in OCI repositories, including some of the nuances around some of the questions that have been open, because there's all these different manifests and manifest structures we have to deal with. So we got some guidance on that. Because there's so many questions about this OCI stuff that's happening. So right now we're talking about things like annotations. Because CNAB's been doing some annotations. We've been doing some annotations in Helm, or we were looking at some, but they're pretty common. And so how do we handle that and add them? Those conversations kicked off, along with dealing with things like just being able to know what the metadata types to map in forms of names. And then how do we deal with search, right? Because if we have a search API, which the distribution spec doesn't, how do we engage with that and even say, hey, we don't want images or all that other stuff, we just want Helm responses? And how does that engagement work? So that's kind of where we're going now. But the basic stuff we have done. In fact, I'll punt. Is Josh on the call? Oh, yes. Josh is. Oh, you are here. Okay. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're recording. So Josh actually gave us a great demo earlier this week, and I can hand it off to you. Josh, did you go?
No, I didn't. I can go.
So Josh, you can go now.
Yeah, so I have a working branch of Helm 3 registry support. I put the link in the notes under Helm 3 status. So I'm really hoping to get this merged and then iterate from there. It basically introduces a new chart command that has a bunch of subcommands. I'm assuming they'll move to different parts of the CLI, but I think it's good to go.
Yeah, Josh, if you haven't talked to him yet, Adam meant to be here, but he lost power. And while we were talking in the
I heard
call,
this,
Matt
yes.
Butcher lost power while we were talking in the call. So, but yes, they're back in to help you with that.
Okay, are we all about to lose power, or?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's, let's see. Oh, Michelle's here. Michelle.
I don't have very much to report. I didn't do anything significant this week. I'm ashamed. I will do better this week. All right. Who hasn't gone? Adnan?
I've already been. I also had not much to report, to be honest. But
Brian, maybe?
Yeah, okay. I have been doing refactors on the Go Lua VM. Adam and I are thinking next week to start to get together like a design document or something that kind of outlines the technical architecture of the plugin system for Helm 3. So I'm just preparing the Lua VM for some heavier development next week. That's it. We should pass it back to, or has anybody not gone? I'll hand it back to you, Taylor.
Okay, I think that was it, everybody. Anyone from the community want to give a stand up for something they're working on? Okay, then let's go on to the discussion. So first thing is something from Rajat. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. You're on the call.
That is right.
Okay, good. If you want to go ahead and explain what your item was.
Sure. So let me first introduce myself. So I'm Rajat. I work for the infrastructure team at Proofpoint, which is based in Sunnyvale. I'm an open source enthusiast where I'm trying to find issues that I can contribute to and the projects that I can contribute to. So while searching for that issues, I figured that it is very hard for a new open source contributor to find good first issues. For that, he will have to subscribe to all the projects that he wants to contribute to. So the idea struck me that we can probably have a Twitter handle and a bot that can tweet the good first issues, and first-time contributors can potentially follow that Twitter handle. And as and when the new issue gets opened with label a good first issue, it will tweet it, and the followers will get the real-time notification of that issue. So Alex from OpenFaz, he helped me build this and deploy this on OpenFaz Cloud. And he has enabled that for OpenFaz, as well as we have enabled it for Certificate Manager in JetStack. So I was wondering if we can enable this for Helm repo as well, because it will help the community immensely.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I've got questions. OpenFaz Cloud. What is OpenFaz Cloud?
So
Could you talk about, I'm looking at where it would run.
So apparently, OpenFaz has a hosting solution that they are inviting people selectively to. And so Alex is hosting that somewhere, and he invited me to that OpenFaz Cloud, and that's where that webhook is running right now.
Okay.
But it is essentially a endpoint, and only permission that we need from the org or the repo is read permission on the issues and the metadata of the repository. So it will not have any write access to the repository whatsoever, no issues, command, nothing. It will just listen for the update commands and go ahead and tweet about the issue. So if you guys want to see, you can go to Twitter handle good first issue without any spaces, and you will see some of the issues that were tweeted for this thing.
And so this would tweet out on that Twitter handle.
That is right.
Helm ones.
All the ones. So for example, let's say all the repositories which enable this particular, it's a GitHub app basically. You enable it on the repository, and then as soon as there is a new issue reported with good first issue label, it will go ahead and tweet it from that handle. So the idea is that the order audience panel would be the first time contributors. So they will be following that account, and as and when issue becomes available, they will be notified real time. So that's the good part to it. They don't have to follow, and they don't have to dig into the repositories to find the good first issue. And the target audience for the GitHub app, basically the webhook, is the repositories which want to encourage first-time contributors to come to their repositories and make contributions. So it's a win-win for both of them, actually.
So we just have to add the good first issue GitHub app to the org, and this will just automatically fall into place?
That's right.
Thanks for doing free advertising for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is.
If we're going to enable that, who do we want to have do that?
Well, I think we have to first figure out, like, this is an org thing. I mean, it's such a small thing, and it's like clearly a good thing to do. But I think, Matt Farina, correct me if I'm wrong, would you have to get the org maintainers to approve that this GitHub app can be added? Like, how does that work?
I think so. So what I think needs to happen is we need to do a lazy consensus anyway, call to that group, a bunch of whom are here today. Should I go fire off that lazy consensus, give it, what's today, Thursday, until like the end of the day, Monday, and then if nobody comes back, we go ahead and fire it off maybe end of day Monday?
Another thing I want to point out is that you can enable it on org level as well as repository level. So if you want to enable it for selective repositories, you can do that. If you want to enable it for org level, you can do that. GitHub provides that ability already.
Okay. Yeah. This isn't the first time I've done an app. So yeah, no, I know how that works. So we do have a governance process on this. Michelle's right. And I'll go fire it off through that process.
Sure.
But, our default decision-making for the governance is lazy consensus. And it sounds like this group thinks it's fine. So I'll fire it off as if nobody does it, we generally give 3 business days for these kinds of things so people can weigh in. And if nobody wants to weigh in and execute on something else, then we'll move forward with it. And I will take the action to carry this particular one.
Thank you very much for your time and listening to it. And thank you for all the good work that you guys are doing on Helm. We are using Helm in the production, so we definitely look forward to all the Helm development there. Thank you very much.
Right, yeah, and thank you for showing up and sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was awesome. Let's see. Up next, was this something that Martin added, I think, when I saw it added in there? Was this you who added the CRD question, Martin?
Yeah, sure. Do we want to talk about that today, or will we wait for Adam next week? Because we were due to talk last week as well, but Adam was out. So
Adam is here.
Ah, yes. Hey, Adam, how are you?
Not too bad. Yeah, I had to drive to the next town over real quick to go to my parents' house because we got a bad storm right now. We were out of power.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
Oh no, it's fine.
Yeah, so I just had a question last week around support of CRDs. And there's a particular issue open 4697. So I suppose what is the current status of CRDs in Helm and going forward in V3, I suppose, as well?
Butcher is probably the one to answer that question. I don't know if anybody else can hop on. I'm sorry to defer to somebody else again. Butcher was the one working on that issue.
Okay. So Adam, I actually have a problem with this, and this is going to walk away with you with an action. Okay, he's not here to defend himself because he lost power after the call started. So he's stuck in that world.
Why do you think I picked him?
Yeah. Well, you know what he did? Because we've asked him in the past about this, and he said, okay, I talked about it with Adam, and Adam took the action to write all this stuff down that we had talked about.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else then.
So we're going to stop this recursive dependency here.
Yes.
We need to get the two of you on to figure this out. But I know the two of you had walked away and talked about how to handle the CRD stuff.
Okay. Maybe remind me what specific issue around CRDs it is.
So right now we have all kinds of problems with CRDs because you have the CRD install hook, but then things never go out, right? So what happens if somebody wants to just say, update the description on a CRD? and then deploy that update. The CRD version and everything didn't change. You have to do that. And what about maybe when you're cleaning up, you want to delete that from the cluster? How do you deal with all of these lifecycle things? And it's starting to burn stuff that's using Helm, like certificate managers one and some others. And we need to kind of solve for these CRD use cases, because it's almost like I have a database schema. I think that's the way Butcher described it, that I'm applying to my cluster. And so how do I end up doing CRUD operations on those appropriately? I don't know the right answer to it, but we kind of, maybe it was you who came up with this whole idea, but we've got to kind of figure out how to do this, because people are running into hard spots on it now.
Right. So I think one of the things we have to consider is where do CRDs fall in the lifecycle? Meaning, is it part of the Helm install or not? Some resources are cluster specific. And so should a Helm install or a Helm lifecycle event like install, upgrade, delete, should those manage for that specific instance? Should they be able to manage something that is cluster wide? Now the reason why I'm very hesitant on this is because, if we allow Helm to manage resources that are cluster wide, then a Helm lifecycle event, when you trigger it, could affect other applications running in your cluster. And this is the thing that we keep running up against. And I think we don't know, even outside of Helm, how this should, what's the expected behavior. Because depending on the scope of work that you are working on, like if it's a CRD that's only specific that you're using for that one single app, it's not an issue to have Helm manage the lifecycle of that CRD. But when it's bigger stuff that might be more generic, like say you have multiple etcd operators for various applications, you don't want to touch that, because that could affect your other applications running. And that's really something we don't want Helm to do, is when you're managing your own resource, even because you could affect applications that were installed not with Helm at all. Like this could affect stuff in a very negative way. You could lose data from it. So it's something that I want to be very cautious of.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to iron out what that looks like at the highest level before we can figure out what's Helm's role in that.
So Kubernetes needs to figure these kinds of things out and the expectations and workflows around CRDs?
I don't even know if it's Kubernetes. I think just we as application developers have to figure that out, because it's not a technical issue, really.
No. It's a workflow issue.
Yeah.
So one idea that we discussed in a charts meeting previously with regards to the CI not cleaning up CRD resources for charts using CRD and store hook was if there was a flag on Helm delete in a similar way to -- purge, if there was something like -- also delete hooks or something, then that could go in.
Yeah, and I think that's what the reason why I was referring to Butcher at the beginning of this is I think he implemented a feature that did that in Helm. I'm not terribly familiar with that, but yeah, I think what might be a good idea is if we set up like a little working group on this and have more in-depth discussion around it, and then we can actually document all this stuff, so it's not just like me and Butcher talking in the background and then coming back and giving reports. That way anybody who's interested in it can. I don't know if it should be branched off of like SIG apps rather than a Helm specific thing, because I think this affects more than just Helm and Helm users. I defer to you, Farina, or Michelle on advice for that, or Anon also.
Yeah, I think this is actually a good topic for SIG apps, because, right, you could have an application managed by Helm, right, say MySQL operator, and then somebody else in another namespace in the same organization just doing straight Kubernetes config files that they're pushing with kubectl to also do the etc or the MySQL operator. And now how do you deal with CRDs, which are kind of a higher level global abstract when you've got multiple instances, right? And this could be depending on how you divide up your cluster. And so I think because it has that kind of scope and we don't really have a good strategy on this, we probably need to take this over to SIG apps and maybe even SIG architecture, because that's where SIG architecture is where they're trying to define this extensibility in the APIs, and understanding some of these use cases would be important for them.
Yeah, and I don't mind having a big part in that too, if you just kind of steer me in the right direction of who I need to talk to and who we need to get together. That'd be helpful. Because the way I think I've tried to present it is think of CRDs as like a feature flag on your instance of your cluster running, right? Because that's essentially what it is. You're enabling a certain API endpoint, right? So you don't want a single application that gets installed to be able to turn on and off feature flags on your cluster. That's like a root access thing to me. But I would love to hear other people's opinion on that and what is the expected behavior. I think in the scope of Helm, like our scope gets limited to like a single application workflow, and we lose sight of the bigger picture. So I think that having a bigger discussion in SIG apps would be very useful for this.
Okay. I'm going to time check really quick because we still haven't had a V3 status update and we have to make assignments. So is the action on this to push it towards SIG apps for a bigger conversation, or is it SIG? You said SIG apps, right, Farina?
SIG apps is a start, and then probably SIG architecture. I just looked at the SIG architecture agenda for this week, which is later today, and it's already full up. So we're not going to have time for it there, but we can talk about it in SIG apps on Monday, and then we would still have time to stick into SIG architecture next Thursday. So that's the approach that I would take it. I can go place it on the agendas. Adam, if you want to come to SIG apps on Monday, I think we can. We haven't planned out that Monday yet, but that's where I would tentatively put it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
And then Adam, did you want to do a V3 status update?
Yeah, I was out last week, and I've been playing catch up and doing some internal stuff this week, so I don't really have anything to report on it this week. I'll have a better report next week on that. If anybody has anything that they want to bring up on it, though, feel free.
Adam, I put a link in the notes there for a PR I need help with against Dev V3.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Yeah, and I pinged you as well, Adam, on a feature I'm working through. So if you get time.
Yeah, I'm a little behind this week. There's just been a lot going on after being out last week, so I will get back to everybody.
And
today.
Adam, feel free to shove off any Helm 2 or other PR stuff onto me. Martin, I can take some of your PR stuff probably tomorrow. So just so I want to make sure you can get caught back up, Adam. So if you need to, just push it over to me and I can take a look at the PRs.
Great. Awesome. I appreciate that.
Okay. We're 2 minutes left, so let's get assignments done. Who would like to be the issue Sherpa this week? I can't issue Sherpa the whole time, but I'm going to take some time here and there to help out with the issues as I can, and I am going to be doing PRs, so I can't volunteer full for issue Sherpa. So is there anyone who can take the issue Sherpa from Michelle? Because Michelle's been doing it for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I really got to follow up on my other things, so I'm not going to volunteer this week.
This is where we assign Butcher because he's not here. Anyway, I'll ask in the Helm Dev channel. Okay, then we have the notes for next week. Who would like to take notes?
I can take notes. This is Josh.
I think I'll be here so I can know. Okay, Josh, all you. And then who'd like to be the moderator for the meeting next week?
I can take that.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michelle.
since we have like 30 seconds, can I do a Helm Summit update?
Oh, yeah. That'd be good.
Okay. Yeah, Karen is trying to lock down a venue in Amsterdam in the second week of September. So that's what the tentative dates are still looking like. The next step is going to be creating a program committee so we can help review CFPs, or that can help review CFPs. So Fisher has a form out, so that'll get sent out soon. And the step after that is going to be opening up the CFP. So that's where we're at right now. Stay tuned.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Michelle. I think we hit right on time, so we'll see everyone next week. Thank you all for your help and participation, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Mike.